There are a lot of books out there that can help you grow, help you learn how to become a better MC, and help you to be growing a better business. Today, we're going to talk about some of those books that will allow you to grow as a wedding DJ and create a business that is bigger than yourself. This is the Wedding DJ School podcast. My name is Josh Mitchell, and I am delighted to be together with you. On every episode, we put together a PDF guide that has all the links and resources to help you apply what you learn. You can get that at weddingdjschool.com/podcast, or also by texting Wedding DJ to 44222. So send in the number field 44222, and then in the message write Wedding DJ, one word. We'll ask for your email and then send you over today's PDF, which is going to include the list of books and links so that you can learn a little bit more about this stuff. So today we're talking about books. I'm not sure if you're a reader. To be honest myself, I like to listen to a lot of books. I also like to listen to a lot of different podcasts, but occasionally I like sitting down, reading, underlining, and studying, and I think these books are worthy of your time today. We're going to start off with Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. And you can learn a lot about this process by listening to the Building a Story Brand podcast hosted by Donald Miller. But this book is really important just in terms of positioning yourself as the guide in the journey of the people that hire you. So, so many DJs position themselves as the hero. They talk about all their accomplishments, all their successes, and why you should hire them because they're the best. But what Donald Miller recommends, and this is just really a revolutionary approach, is to have this mindset of story, have this mindset of their journey, and think about really, you're the guide. You're coming in as the guide in their journey, and the hero is the customer or the couple that is hiring you to do the wedding. So Building a Story Brand is a great book and a great podcast. I highly recommend this. Very powerful advice in this book. The next one is called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. They have also written some books that are on here, or they're right here on the back, Made to Stick, Switch, and Decisive. And these are really practical, easy to read books. If you don't consider yourself a reader, actually all these books are pretty easy to read. They're not, super complicated or anything. But this one is very it's well written. It's very fun to read. Lots of little stories and things that you can apply. But what I love about this is as a DJ, it is your job to create extraordinary moments. And there's actually a lot of science and a lot of things that we can extract from what others have learned, like people like Disney and different hotels and the hospitality industry, about how to create really fantastic moments. So The Power of Moments explores the science of Daniel Kahneman. So Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize and wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And it's really good, but it's also kind of complicated. This book kind of makes some of that stuff way easier to understand. So they walk through the peak-end rule, which means people usually remember the peak of an experience and the end of an experience. So a peak would be like the fireworks at Disney, and the end would be the feeling that you have satisfied as you're leaving. And they found that people don't usually remember all of the hot and the stress and the chaos of everything. Some people do, and that's okay. But when people really think about how they summarize or they store memories in their head, the peak and the end are really important, and that has a lot of implications for a DJ. So The Power of Moments is highly recommended there. Also want to tell you about Seth Godin's All Marketers Are Storytellers. You might see a theme here. So we've had stories in The Power of Moments, and then there's the other book, Building a Story Brand. Story is very powerful in the life of a DJ because you are entering the story of a couple, and you exist kind of in the timeline of their life as a person that's going to help to bring their wedding to fruition. This book is really about the story that you tell yourself about when you buy something, or the story that somebody that you're working with is telling themselves about the experience. We talked about this in one of the other podcast episodes about how when people buy a $20 pencil, they're the kind of person that believes a $20 pencil is worth the money. And then there's other people that do not buy into that story. They don't like all of the association with the $20 pencil. Why would I do that? I just need something to be able to write. And by the way, why are we even using a pen or a pencil? I like to write digitally. So all of that is about the story that each of us tells ourselves. And as a DJ, you need to be tapped into what are the stories that your clients, the couple, are telling themselves about DJ services, but also about the whole wedding in general, so that you can understand more about that. Seth Godin is a great resource. He has another podcast called Akimbo that just talks about these outside-of-the-box ideas, just thinking differently about marketing and storytelling and how we can show up and be different and we can create an impact. So that's Seth Godin. All of his books are really good, but I really recommend that one. Next book is by Mike Weir. This is called called Be the Difference Maker. And I found this through Facebook. This is a self-published book, but it's really good. The content is really good. And Mike Weeder talks about how you are not just a DJ, you are an entertainer. So this book will probably only take you an afternoon or so to read. I was able to read it really quickly. I really liked how even in the end, he includes checklists for things that you can have for the guests, but also for the entertainers. But really, I just love the mindset that Mike outlines in the book about really you're there to entertain people and you're there to create an extraordinary moment. So a lot of really action-oriented advice here from Mike Weeder in Be the Difference Maker. Highly recommend it. He also has a Facebook group that you should check out. Next, I want to tell you about a book called Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. Michael Port is a great speaker. He's a great storyteller. And what he has uncovered in this book is all of the different things you should think about in terms of being an independent business owner, and how you can make sure that you get booked up, that you can make sure that you have the business and the kind of outreach and the kind of publicity that you need. So he breaks things down into very small pieces. I'm opening up the table of contents here. He talks about building trust and credibility, how you can do that by becoming a likable expert in your field, about thinking through the sales process, and so that you even keep in touch with your leads. So it's kind of about sales. It's kind of about personal branding. It's kind of about, making sure that you get business and you've got a lot of it. So I highly recommend Michael Port. Great writer, a lot of great stuff in here. This is one of those books that you can kind of flip through it and read the stuff that captures your attention. So don't feel like this is a book that you kind of have to read from cover to cover. This is kind of stuff where you're like, okay, I want to develop my personal brand a little bit more. Here's action-oriented advice for how to develop your personal brand. Michael Port, this is the third edition. It's a best-selling book. The first one is a little dated, so if you do buy this book, I recommend that you get the third edition because it's more geared toward the technological kind of social world that we live in now. The first edition of the book I also have in hardcover, but it was kind of before the era that we live in now with, phones being, in everybody's pockets and that kind of thing. So Book Yourself Solid is a fantastic resource. Highly, highly recommended from the business aspect of things. Also want to tell you about The Power of a Positive No. William Ury is an expert in negotiation, and in this book, he talks about how you can realistically say no to somebody while still maintaining your integrity. We talked about that in one of our other episodes, but here's the book behind that. The subtitle is How to Say No and Still Get to Yes. I found that I had so much more confidence after reading this book because the world is constantly telling us, you got to tell people yes, you got to find a way to make it work, you got to find a way to say yes. But really, it's about knowing what you've already said yes to so that you can confidently say no to things when it makes sense. So this is William Ury's The Power of a Positive No. Highly recommended, especially as a business owner. You've got to be able to have your guardrails up in terms of how to keep your focus, how to keep your energy sustained while running a whole business, but also being able to help your clients and go in the right direction. The next three books that I'm going to mention were also mentioned in the episode on emceeing. So if you've already heard about that, you've already know what these books are, but do want to mention them one more time for those that maybe haven't heard that episode yet. This one is called Steal the Show by Michael Port. So you see a theme here. We've got Michael Port coming up again. He's just really good when it comes to these kinds of things for the business owner like you, somebody that wants to grow their own company, but also you need a great deal of confidence. You need a great deal of ability to perform in front of a group of people. What I love about Steal the Show is it has a lot of really good stuff for the person who is performing, for the person who is in front of a crowd of people. And as a DJ, you're doing the behind the scenes thing, which is kind of the Book Yourself Solid principle, but then you also need to be really confident in front of a group of people. So he's got powerful performance techniques, the idea of acting as if, being able to raise the stakes, have very clear objectives, be in the moment, and also just finding your voice. So as a public performer, you are confident in who you are and you're able to kind of live out of those strengths. So this is a really fantastic book for the MC, for the person that is, performing. And even if you're doing other public speaking, you're going to find a lot of value in this book. These last two books are a little dated, but I really enjoyed reading them and really enjoyed just kind of looking through the material. I don't know if they're still in print, so I bought both of these used on Amazon. The first one is called The Wedding MC by Tom, I don't know how to say his last name, Haybeck. So for the person who's DJing, the person that's kind of immersed in the wedding world, this book really kind of pulls together all of those different parts. It talks about the families. It talks about, the actual day of the wedding. So I found it just really helpful in terms of just contextualizing the world of what it is to be a wedding entertainer. And I like how he has practical agendas in here, practical planning advice and questions to ask in the planning process. And the difference or the thing about that book, this book right here, You Can Be a Wedding MC, which I'm also going to recommend in a second, and this book here, the Wedding MC, is that I feel like over time, the idea of having a dedicated wedding MC has become less common. I don't know. In my area, it's not common to have a dedicated wedding MC person. Usually it's the DJ being the wedding MC. So these books are kind of coming from the perspective that the MC is a solo, just kind of, you're hiring an MC, or, you're tasked with the job of being an MC. What do you do? These books are kind of written for that very individualized role. But I feel like for the DJ, for the wedding DJ who also plays the role of the MC, you've got to understand some of these very basic things that the MC can do to set the tone. So the other book is called You Can Be a Wedding MC, which, this is being written for people that think that they can't be, meaning, you're planning a wedding, and then you ask an aunt or an uncle or a friend or a best man or whatever, hey, can you be the wedding MC? And they're like, I don't know if I can do that. Well, this book says, yes, you can. So this is written by Peter Miller. And I like it because it is, again, very action-oriented with a lot of, I got this used, so you can see that it has a lot of green highlighting throughout it. But there are a lot of forms throughout, so whoever owned this before me wrote right in the book, which is fine. But there's forms in here for how to think through the reception procedures, how to think through how many guests need to be there, how does the bouquet and garter go, what should the area look like. What really stood out to me in this book was the MC's opening speech that you can find on page 43, basically just letting everybody know how the night's going to go ahead of time so that you're starting off on the right foot. So that's called You Can Be a Wedding MC by the MC of the Year, Peter Miller. Highly recommended. I don't think these books come from the U.S., which is okay. But there are some things in here. Some of the spelling, I think this might be an Australian book, and I think this one is Canada-based, but it is still awesome. These still apply. These are fantastic books. Really recommend them. Again, I got them used on Amazon, and I thought that they were very valuable. So there's a list of the books that I recommend for wedding professionals. There are a lot of other great business books out there, so if I didn't mention your favorite book, be sure to let me know what that one is, because I love learning about different resources that help us grow. But here's the thing. As a DJ, we need to be lifelong learners. If you're going to be owning a business, you need to be learning about the business side of things, but also learning how to improve your craft and improve your skill. And we don't talk a lot on this channel and on this podcast about how to technically become a better DJ, how to mix songs really nicely together and those kinds of things, because I believe there's a ton of resources that are out there and available right now to help you do that. And at the end of the day, you've got to be highly motivated in the music arena in order to exist and stay in the game as a wedding DJ. But you need to go beyond that as well. You need to also learn about some of the MC kind of stuff. You need to learn how to be a great entertainer, how to have confidence, how to, have your boundaries and your mind focused on the entire picture of what it is to be a wedding professional and have a business, not to just show up and get behind the turntables and play music. So some of these books tap into those other aspects of business and other aspects of the wedding industry, which is to create those fascinating moments. So I highly recommend those resources to you. Whether you're an audiobook type of person or you like to actually read the paper version, I think that they're going to help you grow. They've helped me immensely, and I can't highly recommend them enough. You can get the list of books that we recommended on the PDF Action Guide, which you can find at weddingdjschool.com/podcast. You can also get it by texting Wedding DJ to 44222. That's it for today. We will see you next time.